Hi, people of tomorrow. Welcome to Medical Education Exclusive Talk or Meet 2025 by Amsa Jember. I'm your host, Yuka, a first-year medical student at Jember University and proud Amsa Jember member. We've got an extra special episode lined up because we're about to be joined by a truly inspiring guest all the way from England. Hey, Josh.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
It's awesome to see you here. How are you feeling today? Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited actually. I haven't had much contact with Amsa Indonesia or Amsa Jember during my time as serving on the committee of Amsa England. So I'm just really excited to share all my experiences with you guys and just get you guys to get to know me a bit better and hopefully get to know you guys better as well.
Okay, well, I'm really glad you could join us. So, quick question before we start. Do you have any other plans or agenda after this, or is Meet your main event today?
Meet's definitely my main event today. I do have some dinner plans and stuff after this, but today, yeah, it's basically just the meet that's basically going on. And honestly, I haven't stopped thinking about it since yesterday, since I'm just really excited to be here.
Oh, okay. Well, we really appreciate you dedicating your time to us. So just a quick intro about Meet. Well, it's already said by Elsa and Kacinta a little bit, but I want to explain a little bit more. It stands for Medical Education Exclusive Talk, a platform where we dive deep into how passion and resilience help medical students break barriers and improve lives. And our theme this year is eliminating boundaries, resilience with passion for humanity. And now I want us to know each other better about our fantastic guest from AMSA England, Josh. So before we jump in, do you want to introduce yourself, Josh?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Josh. I'm an incoming third year medical student from King's College London. I'm currently 19 years old and I was originally from Malaysia, but I've spent the past 7 years of my life in the UK. And I'm currently really interested in terms of specializing. I'm really interested in general surgery and gastroenterology.
Well, okay, awesome. I know everyone's eager to hear your unique insights. So we've got some exciting topics lined up. So let's get started. The first one is in some parts of the world, before you can enroll in medical school, we need a certain credit from doing charity work, as in Indonesia too. So volunteering,
Mhm.
NGO, or having a record of such activity, is that kind of requirement a thing in England medical school?
Yes and no. So to shed some light on the application process of medical school in the UK, um, there is one major admissions test that is taken before you can even sort of get an interview for medical school, and all medical schools operate on an interview process. And we take something called the UCAT. I'm not so sure whether this is taken in other places in Asia. I know it's taken in Malaysia where I'm from. I know it's also taken in Thailand. I'm not so sure about Indonesia, but essentially all pre-medical students who want to become a medical student take this exam called the UCAT. And based on their UCAT score, they then apply for medical schools, and medical schools can choose to give them an interview or not. In the interview process, then volunteering becomes a major part in basically determining whether someone gets into medical school post-interview or not. And there's no fixed criteria on how much volunteering someone needs or whether what type of volunteering someone is doing, be it very significant. For example, something with like Red Cross UK or Medicine Sans Frontiers. But it could just be something like working with your local county to kind of like organize a sort of volunteering or fundraising event. But the main point of volunteering is, at least for the scope of UK interviews, is to show the interviewers that you operate outside of just school and academics, that you actively try to help people in need. They actively do things outside of school to kind of broaden your scope and broaden your horizon of just the wider world, as well as helping others at the same time. And the main point that I want to get through when it comes to volunteering is a lot of it boils down to how you can talk about it in your interview itself. If you do really significant things, like let's say again volunteering at Red Cross, but you don't communicate it to your interviewer in a way that shows that you really do truly care about people and you really want to do these things outside of med school, outside of just the academic and study life, then that isn't going to be as good as just like doing something small, but being able to communicate that very well. Because communication skills essentially are the main thing that's tested in interviews.
Okay, so maybe I'm a little bit curious about you. How about you? Well, what kind of volunteering do you do before, like the ones that you mentioned to your interviewer when you about to get into medical school?
Oh, so for me, I did my high school in the UK as well, and I was lucky enough to be involved in quite a few volunteering opportunities. Firstly, in my time as throughout like my year 12 and year 13, so in my high school years, I volunteered as a porter at the Oxford University Hospital. So I basically got my wheelchair training done, and I was basically showing old people who couldn't really walk properly just around the hospital and guiding them like throughout like the different layouts of hospitals. Some of the UK hospitals can be really, really big, and because of that, a lot of people can get lost, which is why I think being a porter really helped ease the burden of these people because imagine if you're already sick, like you're super sick and you need to go to a hospital, but you don't know where anything is, and the people at the reception are busy with a large queue of guests to like, find out where things are. It can be really, really scary and really frightening. So I think I was able to help quite a lot of like old people who are just confused with the general landscape of the hospital itself. Um, on top of this, I also worked as a tutor. So in my school, I was lucky enough to be part of something called the Polydemia Foundation, where we basically tutored for free students from underprivileged backgrounds, oftentimes immigrant students who couldn't afford having extra tuition but were struggling in school. And I tutored GCSEs and A levels. I tutored math and biology to basically like 3 or 4 students who we would just have online sessions 1 hour a week, and we did this for a period of around 16 weeks to help them improve their grades.
Okay, well, that's a lot of volunteering experience. No wonder you got in. That's great. It's okay. Aligned with our theme, resilience. As we know, the amount of time we spend in medical school alone can take years and years. So for many others, that can be seen as a burden. So can we know more about you and your passion? Like what motivates you to become a medical student?
So for me, I know this line's been used a lot, and I know a lot of people use this in interviews, but for me, I've genuinely only ever wanted to become a doctor slash medical student. Um, Even since when I was 4 years old, when my parents asked me what I wanted to do, like I was already quite interested in becoming a doctor because I was reading a lot of books about just like I read this one book when I was like a little kid. I still remember it to this day at like night at like bedtime about like these aliens who would come into the human body and visit all the organs and help like really sick children. And I just found the science behind it really, really intriguing. And growing up, I used to play like video games like Plague Inc., where I just learned more about different diseases and how they affect the human body. So when it came time to kind of deciding what I wanted to do, I really only ever imagined myself being a doctor and being really involved in the healthcare field. Um, I mean, that being said, like wanting to be a doctor and then being a medical student to become a doctor is a very different thing. And it's, as you guys all know, it's super busy and it can be super, super tiring. And many people are prone to burn out, myself included. I think one thing that's, I guess, really motivated me throughout my time in medical school is having the opportunity to actually talk to patients because I study at King's and we start clinical years really early. And I'm fortunate enough to have lots of early patient contact throughout my time at medical school. And it's really, really motivated me because I'm able to talk to these people with ailments and slowly getting to know the science behind what makes people sick, as well as learning the medicines, learning the sort of niche and nuances about being a doctor and being just thrown into the hospital itself, has really given me a much broader insight of just what healthcare is, at least in the UK in general. And every time, like when I'm studying like late at night or when I'm like really burned out from exams and I'm just like wondering what motivates me, I do think of like the patients that I've talked to, listening to their stories, their struggles, and it's really just helped me push along even in trying times.
Okay, so wait, you're on your third year?
I'm just about to start third year, but at King's we start clinical placements in second year.
Oh,
Most medical schools will only start placements in third or fourth year, but King's is quite unique, at least in the UK, where we start placements quite early.
oh yeah, I mean like we start our clinical or like we start meeting the patients in like the fourth or maybe like 3.5 years. So at the second year, we're basically just, exposed to materials and not
Hmm.
necessarily like patients. So that's interesting fact. I think that's like better for us as a medical student, right? I mean, we got exposed to like real life patients.
Um, I would say it's actually a compromise because yes, we do get early patient contact, and I fully agree that, all of us who are medical students, we want to become doctors. We chose this path rather than becoming like a scientific researcher or something. I mean, who knows? You might want to become a scientific researcher in the future. But as of right now, if you're choosing to go along this path, it's because you want the patient contact. You want to be able to talk to patients, help patients get better, etc. So I do agree that being given early patient contact and already getting the sort of hands-on experience is really, really good for just your fundamental learning of being a doctor itself. But I would say the compromise is because we spend so much time on placement itself, at least for Kings, there are some struggles in terms of balancing that with our scientific basis and our baseline of anatomy and physiology, because we just don't get as much dedicated time to that anymore. As opposed to a medical student in, let's say, Imperial UCL Cambridge, who may have more time dedicated towards the pure science behind the medicine. So yes, I do personally really enjoy it, but it really depends on what you prefer to do and how you prefer to learn as a medical student.
Yeah, I mean, like you gotta manage the time for studying and yeah, I get it, I get it. Okay, so this one is quite personal, but how important it is for a medical student to join or like be involved in a humanitarian program such as charity works or volunteering in an NGO as a medical student at least once in their study year.
Wait, just to clarify, this is no longer for applications or interviews. This is
Mhm.
as a
No,
medical student.
as a medical student.
Um, I would say it's pretty important. I mean, the thing is with once you get into medical school, it becomes a lot different. I think university becomes a lot more free than high school in a sense where you can kind of take charge of what you want to do in your free time. As medical students, we do have quite limited free time because a lot of that time is dedicated to studying for exams. But then we do have the choice in the what's left of our free time to choose what we do want to do. Um, for me personally, I think it is quite important to have maybe not to be involved in like a really big humanitarian program like saving the world kind of thing, but to be involved in helping people outside of just your medical studies, outside of the hospital, to kind of take maybe just a short break from the pure science or the pure war, like the pure like chaos of the wards, and to just explore the wider population to kind of help in your community. I think it's really important because it's at least for me, for some of the things that I work on in my free time, I really think it's like a breath of fresh air from just the pure medicine itself. And it really helps me acknowledge that patients are people too. I think one main issue that medical students could kind of face, especially in really stressful times of burnout, is viewing patients as conditions in terms of viewing patient only by what makes them sick and not by the fact that they are people too with their own lifestyles, their hobbies, families, etc. And I think a good way to kind of counter that and make the transition from paternalistic medicine to peer-to-peer kind of medicine is by going on these like volunteering or outreach programs to kind of see people who are in need, but also to help them as people themselves and not just patients.
Like training our social skills as a doctor.
Yes, yes, 100%.
Okay, so does your country or like your university have this like special program for humanitarian relief?
Yeah, we Kings at least I can kind of split this question into like both what my uni specifically does and then what the UK like what unis all across the UK do, if that makes things a bit more clear. So in terms of what Kings does, so at Kings we do have a couple of societies that are dedicated for humanitarian relief. We have King's Red Cross. I'm sure Red Cross is like a global society, so like I'm sure Indonesia has plenty of Red Cross outreach programs as well. But at Kings we have our own dedicated Red Cross society, and the only real prerequisite to kind of join is to do the Red Cross like first aid program, which only takes a couple hours and it's free and it's super easy to do. We also have things like that support like the wider range. So we have something called like the King's Global Health Partnership Program, where medical students basically I think we go to 5 countries all across Africa. So Somali, Sierra Leone, Zambia, Gabon, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And we do this to kind of it's not just for like for hunger aid or to help starving children, but we also go to talk to medical students there to help educate them and to kind of just strengthen the healthcare and training institutions over in these countries which economically are less well off than the UK. I'm personally not part of this society myself, but I do have friends who are in this society and they've really enjoyed the experience. Kings do have some other partnerships, so there's plenty of other partnerships. There's something called St. John's Ambulance. I think this is something more national rather than international, but this is essentially a student first aid society where you get to learn advanced first aid courses that aren't really taught in your early medical school years. And they basically cover a wide range of events. You get to basically work as a first aider yourself. So I have friends that are in there as well, where they kind of have like a little like they have like a little like small phone, and they get their own like calls where someone in the area needs like emergency first aid, and they're licensed to do their own first aid and call 999 and basically get these really sick people to the hospital in time. And I think it's really, really great that we have our own societies for this. I
Yeah,
think, yeah. Um, we also have a couple of national ones as well. So these are the ones I just mentioned are national, but King's has their own society for this. So I'm assuming like most UK universities have their own dedicated society to this specific organization. But nationally, we have something called like the UK Med Community of Practice, where this is much more global scale. So we're talking about like disasters, war zones. So we're talking about like Ukraine, epidemics, things like that, especially like during COVID and times like this. And essentially, it's online community based for early training, and then you get your own field deploy. And like 2 years while working with the society, you can basically get to go on field deployments to help people in need. And I think this is something much larger scale than uni societies, but I think it's something that's really, really good as well. Um, Other things that I say I'm personally involved with myself. So I'm involved in some outreach like nationwide outreach program. So I'm part of something called Incision UK, which is a global surgery society. And what we do is we basically help advocate global surgery, especially in places where surgery, like being able to access proper surgical equipment or having proper surgical experience that is guided to medical students in the area isn't as well taught or the fundamentals aren't there. And we basically go and help these medical students out. And we give them educational equipment. We also do podcasts of our own. We do broadcast outreach, things like this. I'm part of also another society called VRIM, so Virtual Reality in Medicine and Surgery. And this basically operates using these virtual like mixed reality boxes that has stored our own patented like 300 plus videos on different surgical procedures. And what we do is we take these boxes and we go to countries again where surgery isn't as well taught or isn't as accessible, and we give these boxes that contain these virtual procedures to medical students and to actually hire up to like residents and surgeons to be able to help just give them a better understanding of surgical procedures that they might not be familiar with themselves, and then be able to teach their own successors because we are straight up just giving them these headsets and boxes like in foreign countries. So yeah, I think the UK overall has plenty of different outreach programs, and it really just is a matter of how proactive you yourself want to be as a medical student, how much free time you have, and whether or not you have the opportunity to in the first place, because it is very busy and it's hard to balance with your own medical school career.
okay, so I've heard like a lot of programs that you've mentioned before, and most of them are like the ones that you do to, like giving them to people in need, like especially like medical students that needs those, like from the countries that you mentioned before. But is there like any program that where medical students in general, like from other universities or from other countries, maybe like from Asia, can join the program like with you?
Oh, are you talking so like international,
Yeah.
like a joint international
Yeah.
outreach program? If I get this correctly, is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so firstly, I'm sure you heard of things like Red Cross, and these are international organizations. So just because let's say King's College London has their own society, what uni do you go to, sorry? Like,
Universitas Jember, Jember University.
oh, Jember University, yeah, it makes sense. Okay, yeah, so if does Amsa Jember have their own Red Cross organization, for example? Do you guys have your own like Red Cross society?
Not necessarily Red Cross, but yeah, similar.
Ah, okay. Because if it's similar enough, you can basically work as a partner with Red Cross societies all across the world, including the UK, and form joint organizations. I know AMSA themselves. I know AMSA as a society also do joint outreach programs and joint volunteering programs. I helped organize the AMSA exchange. This year, AMSA UK went to Singapore and vice versa. And even though it was quite brief, we did do some volunteering outreach as joint societies between AMSA UK and AMSA Singapore. So I know there's opportunities for volunteering there as well. And I know the current president of AMSA International, Jeremy, was really, really advocating for joint volunteering outreach programs between different AMSA chapters. Another society that I'm part of that does this is VRIMS. So although VRIMS is a national society that gives the VR box, that only goes internationally to give the VR boxes, we've been slowly expanding to other countries. Right now, we're focusing on, for example, Singapore and NUS and NTU in Singapore in terms of having representatives there with the boxes to be able to outreach to neighboring countries as well that might have medical students that would like to use these boxes. So I think, for example, for national societies, there's plenty of outreach there that could be done with internationally. And I think the hardest part about all this is simply finding the societies that do offer these outreaches and being able to join themselves. I'm lucky. I'm fortunate enough that I'm in London directly, so I go to conferences where I see this happening quite a lot. So there's plenty of scope there, plenty of opportunity to be proactive. But I'm fully aware that not everyone has like this much central opportunity to be able to join all these different volunteering and outreach programs. So, one tip I would 100% give is to basically, once you see like an Instagram page of like Red Cross or something, follow the page and just DM, like feel free to DM and kind of like ask the people behind the Instagram pages of ways you could join. As someone that also like helps run one of these social media pages myself, I'm very happy to give responses to people that are really interested in joining or especially forming collaborations between different universities because I think it gives both sides a really unique and interesting opportunity to kind of merge, blend cultures, and just explore much different parts of life, of medical school life that you might have never seen before. I've been in the UK for the past 7 years, and despite us both being medical students, I'm 100% sure that I am not fully familiar with the culture of Jember University and Amsa Jember, and I would say the same. I would say the same for other places to UK as well, especially if you haven't been to the UK before. And even if you have been to the UK, like there's no guarantee that you're fully familiar with the culture. And I think if something like a joint volunteering outreach would be perfect in terms of just getting to know different people from different societies better, as well as getting to understand the culture of different places better as well.
I mean, I agree. Since we're in Jember University, which is not like the central part of Indonesia, right? It's like quite far from Jakarta, which is the
Mm.
capital city. So it's not like very easy for us to have like joint, program or like partnership with other countries as well. We have to like join as an AMSA, and we have to like join go through like selections in order to be able to join that program itself. So it's not that easy for us as we're not very much central to the country.
Can I just ask, like, what do you mean by selection process to join outreach programs?
Sometimes like I'm not sure about other organization, but in AMSA itself, before you like be able to join the conference, maybe like there was the conference in Thailand like a few months ago, and we have to go
Hmm.
through what you can say like a selection, and the way we have to pay, and then we have to like submit some of the administration's needs before we finally able to join that conference itself. And yeah, that kind of selection.
From your experience, are people in Amsa Jember and Jember University like itself, are people just really, really keen to find opportunities? Because given what you said about the potentially the lack of nearby opportunities, is international collaboration something that's really high up on the priority list for Amsa Jember?
Not quite high. I mean, we're trying to even like make like national first, right? But of course, we're
Mm,
open to like bigger opportunities, but it's not that easy for us though.
I understand.
Okay, so I mean, going on to the next question, which is like quite aligned with what you said before. I see that you're quite appreciating more about like human social skills or human social connections to each other. So, how
Mhm.
does the journey of your medical school shape your understanding of like human life and compassion, and with your volunteering experience, maybe? And what do you wish for all the future doctors out there?
I mean, that's a pretty loaded question. I think firstly, in
Mhm.
terms of shaping my understanding of human life, I would say the one lesson that I've learned in clinical years, at least, is that life is really fleeting. Like life can be really short. And it's really important to appreciate life for what it is. And I want to preface this by saying, like, I'm only 19 and I haven't had that much. I only had one full clinical year of experience so far. So I have nowhere near the amount of experience that a proper, well-trained doctor would have. But speaking from my own personal limited experience, I would really say that life, like human life itself, is really, really fleeting, and it should never be taken for granted. When I did my first work experience when I was 16 years old in Malaysia, the first ever patient I saw was a 31-year-old woman who was in 2 weeks scheduled to get married to her fiance. However, in those 2 weeks, she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, which had metastasized, and she also underwent liver failure, which meant that she had to call her wedding off. And knowing the fact that she was about to die very shortly. And that was the first ever patient I saw. And it was honestly one of the most harrowing experiences of my life. I was really not used at the time to seeing patients at all, be it a patient that was basically in palliative care, on her deathbed, essentially. And that was the first patient I saw, and it really showed me how fleeting and how short life can be at times. Like, I've been fortunate enough to grow up in an environment where all my friends and all my family have been living quite healthy, happy lives. And just seeing this for the first time really gave me a glimpse into what my future as a doctor might be like, especially in fields like surgery, fields like especially geriatric internal medicine, where where the patients you might see are all going to be really old with potentially really, really advanced things like advanced cancers, liver failure, heart failure, things like this, where there might unfortunately not be a proper cure or proper treatment for them that can save their life. And I guess in cases like these, I would really, I guess, wish for future doctors out there to kind of just embrace the fact that life may not always be as long or as happy or healthy as it ought to be for people, and to not kind of let it rain down on yourself and your capabilities as a medical student or doctor if you are unable to kind of fully save or to fully help a certain patient. I understand that I might not be in a place to say that yet, as I am not a doctor myself. But from just the advice I've been given being on palliative care and in terms of King's itself being on geriatric care wards, um, when I speak to doctors who have directly handled patients who were about to die or who died under their care unexpectedly, it's really important to kind of prioritize yourself as a doctor in the sense that just because this one life cannot be saved does not mean that you as a doctor are incapable of saving lives. And to not hold it too dear to yourself and to let it like just rain down on you or affect your motivation for medicine as a whole.
Okay,
So
well,
yeah, sorry about this dark topic, but I guess like it's something that I really wish for future doctors out there to get to understand better.
I mean, that's very nice for me. I think like, yeah, I mean, based on your experience, I can like partly, I don't know about fully, but I can partly understand your feelings. And yeah, that's a great advice for doctors out there. Thank you. Okay. So we've explored some very deep and meaningful insights on resilience and humanity from a medical student's point of view. Now, how about we move on to something like more fun and interesting? Do we,
Fantastic, yeah.
yeah, like we get to know about England in general. So, can you tell us about the diverse culture? I'm not sure about how culture works in England, as many, like living in Asia, I can't have like full perspective of how culture in England works. But these days, like people goes to England more, especially like from like immigrants or from other cultures. So I suspect like there will be like some acculturations of culture. But in your opinion, as you have been living in England for like 7 years, if I'm not mistaken, what are the
Mhm.
things that make England so special to you?
So I guess I'll split this question as well. I'll first start by talking about the how diverse England is. And then I can talk a bit more into specific cultures like that only England and only England might have. And then I'll talk about things that make England as a place special to me myself. So yeah, firstly with diversity. I mean, Indonesia isn't shy of being diverse itself. I understand that Indonesia is composed of what, thousands of islands with I think 300 million people. I assume it's an incredibly diverse place with different cultures. Again, I was born in Malaysia myself, so and I'm in Malaysia right now actually. So like I think in that sense it's actually like quite I think I understand a little bit of how diverse cultures in Southeast Asia might be. But I would say that is actually slightly different to England because in Southeast Asia, like take Malaysia for example, where you have a sort of a mix, like a very sort of direct split between, let's say, Malaysian Chinese, Malaysian Malays, Malaysian Indians, and expats, for example. In the UK, I would say it's a much less defined split because you just have so many people, especially in London, coming from so many different places, all for different goals, different reasons, that it becomes just much more of a mixed bag with no fixed population quotas, if that makes a lot of sense. If that makes a little bit of sense, sorry. Um, I have friends from in London, I have friends from all around the world. I have friends from Iran, Turkey, I have friends from Eastern Europe, Western Europe, as well as like even the USA and all of different ages, all from coming from different backgrounds. So I would say it's really, really nice in the sense because I'm able to just learn through the experiences of other people and just learn about what people have gone through in life, how people have lived their lives in different places, coming from different cultural, religious backgrounds. And I would say it's just been really exciting to kind of just meet so many different people from all over the world, coming to London for their own personal goals. And yeah, I think that results in the accumulation of culture that you might have heard as a stereotype in England or London. I do have to say that this is mainly direct to London because I'm a medical student studying in London. In certain other, like in other places of the UK, which may not have as much immigration direct to it, especially in, let's say, the north of the UK, it will be it will be much less culturally diverse, and it will mainly be consistent of just UK and local nationals that are living and studying there. For example, even though I'm currently studying in London, I've been to school in Brighton, I've been to school in Oxford, and I did work experience in a city called Sheffield. And I'll say, especially in Sheffield, where it isn't as much of a sort of tourist or like financial hotspot as London is. There's definitely, I would say, a much broader scope of just locals that are living, working, and studying there, as opposed to places like London or Oxford, which is a student city. In terms of, I guess, the direct culture in England, I will say, firstly, drinking and sports are massive in England. So we do these things like, especially in freshers, like we call it freshers, where like maybe you guys might call it freshers themselves or orientation week. I think that like that's kind of thrown around in Southeast Asia. Um, we do these things called like pub crawls, where essentially you guys go as groups with your own like medical like own like year one medical students with let's say some year twos guiding you guys, and you go to different pubs, go for drinks, and then go to the next pub, and you just go around through the whole night and just enjoy spending the time with your newfound friends and your mentors, etc. We also do loads of sporting activities in like the first week. So like football is massive, like massive in the UK. I seem like it's so massive to the point where it's gone like all the way to like Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia as well. Like I support Manchester United, for example. Hopefully the YouTube comments won't berate me too hard for that. But yeah, football is massive. People love to go to watch the games, especially, I mean, in London we have Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, for example. All these big football clubs that basically just offer so much opportunity to go watch things. Also for me, for example, I'm a tennis player. I really like watching and playing tennis. So Wimbledon just happened. That's not too far out from London itself. And it's something that I know a lot of my friends went to watch from Kings because of how near and how just proximal everything is from each other. And I would just say overall, like sports is just massive in the UK. Um, I guess in terms of as well the culture for the work culture of the UK, compared to Southeast Asia, I would definitely say it's it's way less paternalistic than the experiences I've had in Malaysia, where I would say learning is much more. it's much more two-way, where people are all, especially in high school and like even in secondary school, students are always advised to just ask questions to be able to just like communicate their ideas with each other and their teachers. And I think in some schools in Southeast Asia, this may not be the case, where oftentimes you're expected just to listen to what is being told to you, to memorize it, to write it down, and regurgitate it back in your exam. There is some extent of this happening in the UK as well, but I would say, despite that, I would say it's much more open-minded and much more it allows for much more two-way discussion. And honestly, I can't really say whether one method of studying or one method of learning is better than the other. For me, I'm someone that really likes to ask questions, so I'm quite happy to go to the UK where I was able to be brought up in this manner. But I would say to each their own, and you learn the best way that you grew up and learning, I would say. But this is, I guess, one big cultural difference that I realized when moving to the UK. And yeah, lastly, in terms of what makes England special to me, 100%, like without a doubt, it has to be just the friends I've made like in the UK. I've been here for a very long time myself, and I'm very fortunate that I've been able to all the friends that I've made in like secondary school and high school, a good number of them actually stayed in the UK and stayed in London for either medical school. I know some friends that from high school and secondary that went to medical school with me, or that just stayed in the UK working their own lives and leading own lives. And I think having these connections and having these friendships that from all these years ago that have stayed with me to this point has really been a driving factor in what keeps me motivated throughout medical school, what keeps me going even when times are rough. And it definitely has to be like the main point, I would say, that is great about studying in the UK.
Hey, thank you so much. So I think, yeah, I mean, social skills is always so important to you based on our discussion today. So it's not just
Mhm.
the thing that you mentioned your friends. So I noticed one thing that you haven't mentioned about England, which is your favorite food. Are you not going to recommend us any of your favorite spot like in England that we can maybe go there if we went to England?
Um, can I just ask? I'm really sorry if I get this wrong. Um, do you guys don't drink, right?
Or
Or do
our
you?
Muslim base, but if it's like we're Muslims, right? Most of us, but
Mhm. Yeah.
if it's non-Muslim, then drinking is definitely not prohibited.
Okay. I would say because one of the biggest parts about food UK culture is definitely pub food and pub drinks. Where let's say, for example, let's I was taking some Singaporean students around because I'm the AMSEP director of AMSA England. So I was organizing the AMSEP exchange program where we took students from like Singapore to London, and I took them around. And one of the first places I took them to was actually like the pub where we were able to just go for some drinks. I'm very aware that a lot of people in Singapore don't actually drink,
Mhm.
so it was mainly just to show them the experience and try pub food. So we tried things like shepherd's pie, cottage pies. I think people quite like that. And I know a lot of people from the Singapore trip really like this place called Spud Bros, where they serve like these like hot jacket potatoes like lined up with like different toppings. I think it's gone viral on TikTok, so some of you viewers might be aware of this. Me personally, I would say some staples that must be tried in the UK if you do go, definitely fish and chips for one. I think everyone knows this. Um, I will say, having been to study in a city like in Brighton, which is basically, imagine it's the UK, right? Very down south, so very near the ocean. The seaside fish and chips that you get is much nicer than what you get in like London or even of the UK. But that being said, I still 100% think it's a must try if you guys ever go because I mean, it's just really good. You can't really go wrong with like beer battered fish and chips. Like it's just a must have. I think I personally really like Scotch eggs as well. I know it can be quite overpriced, and if you guys do want to ask, like England is just in itself a very expensive place to live. But I do have to say I personally quite like it a lot. I think it's just very good, very hearty Western cuisine in general. And I mean, the food itself in the UK, because of how diverse the culture is, for me personally, in my daily life, I often do have Asian food. I have like Japanese or Chinese cuisine, just because there's just so many. Like I live very close to Chinatown in the UK, so there's just so many like Chinese restaurants, such a wide variety of food available to me. I have there's like a Turkish place, a Chinese place, and a Japanese place, and a Korean place, just all right next to where I live. So I think having such a wide variety of food means that you can just try out different cultures in London. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to necessarily be like the local food or local culture every day. There's so much opportunity and range to try. But I do have to say that it's super, like it's unbelievably expensive. And my wallet is crying like almost every day because of it. I'm really glad to be in Malaysia right now just because of how much cheaper everything is compared to the UK. But yeah.
So, pop drinks, pop foods, and then the shepherd pie,
Yeah, shepherd's pie.
seaside, seaside fish and chips.
Fish
Yeah.
and chips, yeah. And I personally I like Scotch eggs, but like I know it might not be for everyone, but I personally like this dish as well. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, we'll keep it to our recommendations. Maybe someday we can go there.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. I'm happy to take you guys. If you guys ever come, I'm happy to take you guys around. I mean, I've taken people
Oh,
around before, so like just hit me up. Yeah.
we definitely will hit you up. You better be ready.
Oh, I'll be ready, man. Just give me a text.
Okay, wow, we've had so much fun that we didn't even realize that we reached the last topic of our discussion today. So,
Oh,
now
already? Okay.
let's talk about something special, which is our similarity, which is AMSA. Why
Mm-hmm.
did you choose AMSA as your organization? I mean, in Indonesia, we have like a lot of organizations, and AMSA is just like one of the many few. It's not the same things in England.
Well, yeah, I've talked a bit about it already, but there's plenty of different organizations, be it social organizations or like healthcare related. Like, um, take Kings, for example. We have many like social, cultural, like communities. So I'm part of like the Malaysian society because even though I've been here for 7 years in the UK, I'm Malaysian myself, and like my passport's Malaysian. So I like to be like hang around with my Malaysian friends quite a lot because they're what reminds me of home. But there's also many like let's say surgical or national like healthcare organizations that I either am part of or would like to be a part of as well. So I would say there's a just to start, there's like a massive scope of
Mhm.
different types of societies that you could join. For me, Amsa was actually the first uni society I joined, and the main reason for that is because I had a couple of high school friends that were in the year above that became medics and then joined Amsa themselves. And when I went into medical school, they recommended Amsa to me as a good starting point in terms of just being able to meet friends and have a sort of social community while also being able to be part of these like volunteering organizations as well as you guys might be familiar with something called AMSC, which is like the academic essay competitions that AMSA does. So I got to be involved in the AMSC last year, where I was working with a team to submit a poster for that went, and some of us ended up going to Japan to present it, which I think was really, really cool. So I chose AMSA mainly because it was just a great opportunity to socialize, network, as well as be involved in different research and outreach projects all at the same time and all related to medicine at once. Yeah.
Okay, so you've mentioned, do you go to the last EM? Is it that one that held in Japan or like Singapore?
Oh no. I was part of the project for it. So I helped write the abstract, I helped with the poster, but like not the
Mhm.
poster, sorry, we did a presentation. But because there were many fifth years in our group, and I was only a first year at the time, I think it made way more sense to kind of let the fifth years go and present themselves. But yeah, it went really well. I think we came third place overall, and we're currently writing on the full paper at the moment to try and get that published as well. So I think yeah, that was a great experience overall.
Okay, I mean, wish you all the best for the paper published.
Thank you.
What are your unforgettable moments with AMSA?
Okay, I'm a bit biased when I say this because, well, the I just came back from Singapore, like only last week from the AMSA exchange, but I would say it has to be that. So, as my part of my role as joint AMSA director, so I was in AMSA England. I think similar to how you guys do with AMSA Indonesia, where we have you guys, I think, do it based on location slash uni. So there's Amsa Jember within Amsa Indonesia. But for us, so Amsa England is consisted of three London universities, which are Amsa Barts or Queen Mary, Amsa Kings, so like KCL, and Amsa for Imperial, as well as we've just started Bristol and I believe Leeds as well as so five unis total. and I was the KCL AMSEP director for the exchange program. And this year we held it with England and Singapore. So I, alongside a group of other representatives, took 15 Singaporean delegates all across London, showed them all like the cultural things, took them to all like the fancy malls, the fancy places, as well as holding our own like volunteering and academic events as well, and touring them around our unis. And then just like I think 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we went ourselves to Singapore for the representatives there to take us around Singapore and show us their unis, take us to their outreach programs, etc. I would say the most unforgettable moment was definitely the volunteering because we got to see straight up like the most insane bougie hospice I've ever seen in my life. I'm talking like so like an old people's home of patients with terminal illnesses. And they basically they don't stay there, but they go there. It's like a daycare. They go there every morning. They go meet their friends, sit down. There's literally a cafeteria inside the actual like hospice itself. They're all on wheelchairs as well, and it was insane. They had a botanical garden where these old people would garden themselves. They wheel these old people to like gardening areas where they could help garden plants and help water plants. They had a drawing area. They had a jacuzzi, a cinema. They had like board games, cards, poker. They even had like mahjong tables for the old people to play mahjong together. It was insane to see, and I'm just so glad to have had the opportunity to tour and to help wheel like these old people around and get to know them better. So yeah, I would say that has to be like one of the most unforgettable moments of my AMSA experience so far.
Like how huge is that place to have like all of those things?
It's insane. Like when you think of an old people's home, you don't think of this, right? I would say a lot of people they have very like negative or like negative stereotypes of old people's homes being quite dreary or boring, where
Yeah.
old people just kind of stay there. This is the exact opposite. Like the walls are all like brightly colored. They have like insane facilities. I could live there. I like
I
it
want
was
to live there.
it's amazing, and I'm just so glad to have had the opportunity to do so, and not to live there, but like to visit and to take people around. Yeah,
In Singapore.
yeah, it's in Singapore.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that was, I don't know, maybe it could be like our bucket list someday, Elsa. Elsa.
I mean,
Like,
yeah, I mean, if you get in contact, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the kicker. It's complete for these people. It's completely free.
oh,
It's
really?
completely free. They don't have to pay a single cent because we actually told by the we have had a small meeting with the organizers after, and they told us that they didn't want because a lot of these old people have terminal illnesses and they didn't want like the last few months of their life to be worrying about who pays for their own shelter, who pays for their daycare. So it's a really long waiting list, but it's completely free, and it's charity and government funded.
Oh my gosh, that's great. I mean, that's amazing.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I still can't believe it. I'm home now and I still can't believe it.
Okay, well, I mean, you've mentioned about how AMSA helps you in like in terms of socials, in terms of volunteering, right? How
Mhm.
about, how AMSA helped your journey as a medical student, like academically? How do you think they help you?
I mean, last year I was part of the committee as like the AMSEP director for the exchange program, and I'm gonna be the incoming academic officer for KCL this year. So I think the main focus of AMSEP, at least in England, is to help with OSCEs. I think OSCEs is like a global thing, so I don't know if you guys call it that, but do you guys
Yes.
call it OSCEs as well?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay, so great. Yeah, so it's mainly for OSCE practice. We do organize like I will have to be organizing OSCE events for both Kings as well as just generalized around London because it's a really massive focus all across London. We at Kings we take our final like summative OSCEs already in third year. So for us, we have both written exams that like a written final exam that we sit in third year in January and
Mhm.
then our final OSCE exam of I think 12 stations that we sit in May.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really big emphasis in the curriculum. And I think clinical skill practice is super important as a doctor, regardless of how strong your academics are. And it's, I guess, the main academic focus of AMSA itself. I think it's also helped me a lot in terms of research experience, in terms of just knowing I got to know a bit better of how to write and how to operate systematic reviews and meta-analyses as part of my work with AMSC, and it's enabled me to kind of like help do stuff in my own projects and to help just join different things with this experience in general. So I think it's also because I was able to get on this as a first year. So I think it was also a really good starting point to help kickstart like an academic research journey as well.
Hey, I mean, yeah, I agree. AMS also helped me a lot about like research. Most importantly, they have like a lot of competitions, if I'm not mistaken. Like
Yes,
like
yes.
research competitions, right? Every week, no, not every week. Every 2 weeks, they have like new competitions going on. I mean, Indonesia.
Mm.
Is it in Indonesia?
England, I would assume that England Amsa is much smaller than the Indonesian Amsa, mainly due to just simply there being less people
Oh,
in England than are in Indonesia, as well as less Asian medical students specifically, because Indonesia is based in Asia, England is
yeah, yeah.
not, and as well as the fact that I think with a smaller student body, a lot of emphasis is actually placed socially and in terms of outreach programs rather than pure academics. Because if there aren't that many people in the first place, I think organizing large, like nationwide competitions is hard, given the fact that there are already so many opportunities for conferences and competitions in the UK as it is already, that people like from all over can join. But I think we do have like I think one or two every year, so it's still something.
Yeah, man. Okay, Josh, that's a wrap. What an amazing chat, I think, like full of insights and good vibes, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come here today and to be able to just share my insights with you guys. And I hope
I
you
mean,
guys, yeah, I hope you guys watching and really enjoyed it as well.
yeah, thank you so much. Huge thanks for sharing your thoughts on like the theme today. Okay, so before we sign off, any final words for our viewers? I'm Indonesia and I'm Jember.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I don't know who exactly I'm speaking to on the other side of the screen, be it medical students, pre-medical students, maybe even doctors or parents of medical students. But honestly, like, I'm just really glad to have the opportunity to go to the UK to become a medical student and to be able to kind of embrace life working in a foreign country and studying in a foreign country. And I think that with my experiences, I can safely say as a medical student that it's been one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. I think if you're a pre-medical student looking to go into medicine, or if you're already a medical student but you're watching this as you're struggling with exams, my only thing I would say is just to keep on going and to just remember what made you choose this path in the first place. Because hopefully, and I'm on this path myself, but hopefully, once we either do become doctors or once doctors become consultants, etc., we'll have a much greater and much broader outlook on life of the medical field as a whole.
Okay, what a perfect closing and a very motivating one too. Okay, I've loved this conversation and hope we get to meet in person one day. Thanks again and see you soon. This was
Thank you
episode
so
2,
much.
Education Exclusive Talk or Meet 2025 by Amsa Jember. And before we end the session, we'd like to express our gratitude in the form of a certificate for our today's guest speaker. Operator, please share your screen. Okay,
Oh, wow.
I mean, here's a certificate. I mean, we used the name Joshua Lee since that was being written in this Amsa England Instagram. Do you think it's okay? Or, I mean, if you're not, you can tell our vice representative and we'll change it for you.
Oh no, this is fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we'll start the documentation. Do you want to get ready first or are you ready? Okay, documentation will start at the count of three. One, two, three. Okay, do you know like Amsa pose? This one?
I can't hold on. Which one?
This one.
I
Do you know?
think I
Oh,
think Jeremy's been hounding us before on. Oh, this one, yeah.
yeah.
I'm not very good at it. Is this record?
Is
Like,
this
like,
one?
huh?
It's like
Like
trying.
this?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
How am I meant to like this?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Start at three at the count of three. One, two, three. Okay, fantastic. That's nice. Okay, thank you so much, Josh. It was nice talking with you.
Thanks
I
so
mean,
much, Yuka.
yeah, hopefully we can meet again, either at or outside AMSA event.
Um, this is this still part of YouTube or
Yes, it is.
okay? I mean, I was just gonna ask, where is Jember?
Jember
Because
is where is Jember? It's like Do you know Bali? Bali?
Yes, I've been to Bali. In
Have you
fact,
been to
I've
Bali?
only been to Bali, but yeah.
If you go from Bali a little bit like into the nearest island from Bali, it was actually Banyuwangi, and then 30 minutes from there we can go to Jember.
Ah, okay. Is it so do you guys go to Bali? Like is it very is are the different islands very accessible to go to from each other?
Oh, it is definitely accessible from us, but Bali itself is very expensive, so we're not like going there very often. But of course, like
Ah, okay.
holidays, we went there most often, more often than people like from in the farther place in Indonesia.
Ah, okay. Makes sense, makes sense. And you said you're about have you done your first year now? Like what's your sort of what's the schedule like for you as a medical student? Like are you in summer break or are you
Oh,
still do you still have uni?
now, right now,
Yeah, yeah, right now.
we're on. We're not. It's not summer break, but it's like semester break,
Hmm.
a year break. Yeah. So we have
Yeah.
like 2 months, around 2 months of like having nothing to do. Yeah, so we will start the third semester for me in August, like mid-August, I think.
Ah, okay, okay. And I'm just curious as well, like, so in terms of like future career aspirations, are you guys all planning to stay and do your medical training in Indonesia as well?
I'm not sure about the other, but I definitely wanted to try other countries, mostly like Japan, since my mom from there. And
Oh, nice.
yes, my name is Yuka. So yeah, but I'm not sure about Elsa. How about you, Elsa?
I think I would just finish it here, and yeah, if I want to try like having a master degree or thing, I will definitely try another country.
How about you, Josh?
Me, I would say the UK. I mean, I go to school in the UK and I've been in the UK for ages. And I'm currently an international student, but once I graduate, I will be eligible for getting a PR or permanent residence. So I would still say I'm still interested in staying in the UK for my medical training. But of course, there's plenty of other options. I could go back to my home country, Malaysia, to be a doctor there. I could go to Singapore, which is really nearby, and I have family there as well. And Australia and the USA are also really, really common options for people in the UK to go to medical school. Um, I think because of how long the degree is, like I'm sure it's the same for everyone, like all of us, we all know this. So I still think there's plenty of flexibility to kind of choose where you want to go in the future. So I will have to wait and see in terms of just looking at the climate for where it's suitable to be a doctor and where I can kind of get the most out of my medical training. But yeah, there's
Uh,
plenty of places for now.
yeah, a lot of opportunities. I mean,
Yeah,
uh,
100%.
let me close this first so that we can talk more after this.
Okay, sure, sure.
Okay. Don't forget to catch our next episode on our official YouTube channel. Have an awesome day, everyone. I'm Yuka, signing off. Thanks for tuning in. Growing together, embracing every journey. Si Viva Amsa.